Hey, everybody, thanks for joining me on the Rundown with Ramon. Excited to have you here because I know this could very well be the best episode yet based on all the stats inside my head. And we'll see. But Pallavi Pande, thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate it so much. And I say your name like some people say my name. They go, Ramon Ray. I'm like, yeah, you got it. No problem. So welcome to the Rundown with Ramon. Pallavi, thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for having me, Ramon. And if it was up to me, I would call you R and myself P.
We can do that. We'll see. I may get tongue-tied.
Not our names. We better say each other's name. And
Yes.
we got it the right way. So hats off to that.
Exactly. Thank you. And I'm curious, I'll just totally separate than what I wanted to ask you. People, and I don't want to get you confused, but if I do, it's okay. But people often call me Raymond. So my name is Ramon. And I hadn't corrected them because I don't mind it. Meaning some people get very offensive on names, but I have a lot of grace. I've traveled around the world and it's okay. Names can be difficult to pronounce. But somebody said, no, Ramon, you should correct people. And what happened to me is like halfway through the interview, I'm on a lot of other people's podcasts. Oh, it's Ramon. I've called you Raymond for the last 45 minutes. So curious, what do you do if people mispronounce your name, especially if it's egregiously, definitely unintentional, but what do you do? Do you let it go or do you stop them? How do you handle that?
I have changed my mindset. Earlier, I didn't care much.
Okay.
But now that I feel it matters to people pay more attention and they're more
Yes.
conscious. I'm like, then why not? Why is it stopping me from telling them that this is the right way to say it? And especially when people show they care and they're asking you, please tell us. And I've seen that shift happen more and more with
Yes.
every passing year. So I've become more vocal about it. I'm like, thank you for asking first. And then second, this is the right way to say it.
I love it. I love it. Well, we'll jump right into it. Listen, you and I we're now BFFs for the last 3 minutes or so, but we met on LinkedIn. And as you did say, we have a lot of mutual friends, but we're in essence, and I'm saying this in a good way, setting this up for something, we're strangers. Just scrolling my feed as LinkedIn does so well. TikTok has its way it does it, which is great. You click and it feeds you this, but LinkedIn, I think it's getting pretty good at finding people of like-mindedness in some way, connecting them. So I'm scrolling my feed. I saw either something a friend of yours posted or what you directly know. LinkedIn puts certain people in your feed. And I saw Tory Burch Foundation. That just caught my eye because I hold Tory Burch in great admonition or admiration. One, because I was a speaker, webinar series they have once or twice. They sent me a thank you gift. The box was like gangsta. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to see the purse. So they sent me a little thank you gift. So I saw something referencing Tory Burch. I'd love for you to unpack what that was about. And then I'd love to hear about your company and just more about you, your advice for entrepreneurs. And we'll just have a great conversation for the next few minutes or so. So before we get to Tory Burch, feel free to take a minute to unpack and tell the audience who you are, what your company Dtocs is about, and more. Tell us who you are.
Sure. I'd love that. And I think I would actually start here saying thank you to Tory Burch because she is common ground here who's getting us connected. So
Yes.
the only thing is LinkedIn works just like how it works, how social media works for people, for us, because I believe you get what you give. And I believe both of us spend a lot of more time on LinkedIn. So here it is working for us. And thank you for connecting with me and giving me this opportunity. Like Ramon said, I'm Pallavi Pande. And a fun fact here, would you like to know the meaning of my name?
I would. Please do tell me.
Okay, thank you. So Pallavi, it comes from the Indian country, and in my cultural Indian language, Pallav means leaf.
I love it.
And I'll
Who
tell
would have
you
thought?
as we deep dive why I'm bringing this up.
Okay. Tell me.
So
Tell me.
I don't know if you know here, but Dtocs is my brand.
Yes.
And
Okay.
I
And by the
have,
way, I've been to your lovely country. I don't know if it was your birth or ethnicity. Either way, I've been there. I was in Hyderabad at the Global Entrepreneurship Summit, and I love it. And my favorite, see, now you're taking me to a whole nother way. We're going to get back to Dtocs. My
yes,
favorite food. Okay. I was on a cruise ship.
biryani. Is it biryani?
How did you know? Yes, it is. I was on a cruise ship for 7 to 10 days. Every single day, I passed lobster, steak, mashed potatoes, lasagna, every expensive food on the planet. I passed all of it. Curry,
Biryani.
curry, biryani, fish curry, tandoori curry, every version of curry, chicken tikka masala, every version every day. So we're going to get back to you, but like Indian food is my favorite go-to.
Glad to hear. And I'm so glad you got to try all those cuisines or all those dishes in our cuisine on the cruise.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Please, back to Dtocs and Their name means leaf, and
Yes.
let's go. Mm.
And coming back to the Indian culture, I
Yeah.
don't know when you were visiting Hyderabad, did you ever experience eating on a banana leaf, like at restaurants or
I
similar?
know of it. I'm sure I did again because I've had so much Indian food over 40 years. I'm sure I've experienced it dozens of times. Yes.
Right. So to our audience here, whenever they do visit India or whenever who will, always be open-minded because there could be a chance where the restaurants would actually serve you food on a piece of leaf, banana.
Mm.
They will not serve it to you on a plate. They'll not give you a spoon or fork and they'll like use your fingers. No, I'm kidding. But yes, you can of course
Yeah.
request cutlery, but they might still not give
Sure.
you food
Sure.
on a plate. They still serve food. The
Yeah.
hospitality of India is they do still use banana leaves to serve food on. Now,
Absolutely.
why I'm bringing that up is because that culture still exists, and that is a piece of my culture I dearly miss after
Mm.
coming to the United States, living here for 20 years, raising my family here, barely having the time to go back maybe once every few years. And even when I do, I don't get to experience that cultural piece. So I was like, how is that something I can enjoy every day at my own home? And that's when I decided I'm going to start a brand or a business that will give people, consumers like yourself and myself,
Mm.
um, and businesses the same experience of perhaps eating on leaves, something that Mother Nature has given us. So I just went one level beyond up, which was, of course, I didn't use banana leaves. I can't use banana leaves to create plates because they break, they rip apart, they don't hold
They
well.
don't
So
last too long. We go to Costco and is the banana leaf there? No, we had to throw them out.
because it was black and moldy and we
Yes.
had to get rid of it.
Yes.
So here's a smarter thing, right? India has been using palm leaves, like especially the areca palm leaves, which is a betel nut tree.
Hmm.
Their leaves, they are on the ground, and the Indian culture has been using them for years, thousands of years
Mm.
as plates. So that is what I did. With my 10 years of experience in supply chain and inventory and logistics, I said, I am the best candidate to bring this concept and this culture and give it to the consumers who hate doing dishes. Like I am a person who loves to party and
Hmm.
entertain, but please do not ask me to clean up.
Hmm.
How dare you, right? And
Yes.
if I'm
Yes.
coming to your party, do not ask me to clean up. So what's the sweet spot here? I'm like, okay, we're going to be offering these compostable, classy, sustainable tableware. They are meant to be single use so that you can use and throw because we all deserve convenience.
Hmm.
But do we all want to be guilty of that landfill? Absolutely not. So that's when Detox was created, and we started as a brand that served consumers at homes. And then during COVID, we scaled it to restaurants and food service and vineyards and intimate weddings and events.
I love it. I love it. And tell me, where did you get, if you said it before, forgive me, where did you get the supply chain and the background for this? Did you talk yet about that background of where you came from before Detox? How did you get that experience? Where's that
Yeah,
from?
yeah. So I was here in the United States and it was for a company who was manufacturing and sourcing products from China,
Okay.
some
See,
wholesalers here in the United States. So I knew how that would work.
got it.
Now, all I had to do was find the product that I believed in, something that I would advocate for, something I would use personally. And I felt a gap during my own hostings that I wasn't able to find any sustainable alternatives at that time that looked classy, something that I could put on a wedding table, something that wouldn't cause landfill, something that was compostable. And that's where the gap was getting to that kind of raw material and providing it to the consumers because I couldn't find that online. So I was like, okay, I'm going to manufacture this in India. I'm going to bring this in containers and I'm going to give it to the people in US. And then slowly we went to the people in Canada. So right now we're serving the whole North American continent.
Wow. And how do you break through, no pun intended, the clutter? I think, again, feel free, correct me. Anything that I ever ask you or say, feel free to set the record straight. I like to put my foot in my mouth sometimes. But, I assume the market has a lot of people who do this, whether they're famous brands who we know that I may not know, but you in the industry know, or other startups. And this doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, but I'm just pushing back like I thought this is a crowded industry, the consumables market, the sustainable market, and that's a whole mindset issue itself. But as more and more people get more sustainable, so how are you able to take Detox and say, hey, me, is it based on Pallavi? Is it based on your a brand you have? Like, do you have an influencer? Or talk about that, just breaking through the clutter, how you're doing it, and maybe as a lesson learned for others listening, how we can
Yeah.
break through. And clutter's the wrong word, but you know what I mean. There's a lot of great brands in the market. How we can stand out and get even a decent share of that, which we can all live well.
Yeah, so the unique positioning. Like, imagine you're going to a retail store and there's a whole aisle full of hot sauces. Now, how do you know which one is something that speaks to you as a consumer and why it speaks to you, right? So you go
Mm,
there, you pick it up, you look at the label. Okay, these are B Corp certified, or maybe yes, they are fair trade certified, or maybe it's some other value that aligns with you. And when that value as a consumer aligns with that product, you're even ready to pay a little more for that product now,
mhm,
right? So that is the unique positioning we have tried to establish as a brand. And you're right, it's a cluttered space. Why? Because pre-COVID, which was before 2020, there were literally three or four companies that were making sustainable tableware from palm leaves. After COVID, I have seen 20 other
mm,
people selling this product. Now, the transparency which is not there is whether they are a wholesaler, a manufacturer, a brand owner, and that's where the messaging or the connection with consumers come from, right? Go on the website. Is there an about page? And if
mm,
there is, who's the owner? Is the picture there? Is the story there? Is the voiceover there? Who's the influencer? Is it the owner herself? Is
mhm,
it her family? Is it her kids? Is it those everyday people? Or do they hire these XYZ celebrities? And again, understanding the why. I mean, people can do
mm.
whatever, but going behind what's the why or why did we doing this? That's the approach consumers have shown us and validated us. And we've tried to keep our consumers happy because we've communicated with them our values that are unique to Dtocs, which is we are the only brand in this category where we are people and planet first certified brand. So
Mm,
look into this. It's called People and Planet First certification that makes the companies who stand for a particular sustainability development goals, SDG goals, which we honor and we stand by it and we have proof. That's why we have the certification. So that's just one example. Couple of other examples would be I became one of the INC, the fastest growing company's founder, 250 female founders in the United States, which was another approach of like, okay, we're growing, but this is a sustainable approach with our consumers because even today, our most of our revenue comes from consumers. We are
mm.
a direct to consumer brand.
Okay. Mhm,
Consumers are still buying us much more than wholesale or hospitality. So that shows that we have the scope of being in every household. And then because of that approach, we also became America's top 100 businesses. And this was an accolade that was given to us by United States Chamber of Commerce.
mm.
So it's not us who's telling you that we are this, it's them who are telling you that we are this because of these XYZ values and what we've been able to cater to the needs of consumers and businesses.
I love that. One thing I want to go back to is that you're not just saying we're a disposable uh, plate or disposable utensil company.
Tableware.
Yeah, what is it? Tableware?
Tableware.
Thank you. You're not just a disposable tableware company, but you're going one level deeper, I believe. Is if correct if I'm wrong, but we're disposable tableware in the what's the in the palm is it? What's the product in
So the
the
raw material is palm leaf,
right
yes.
in the palm leaf space? Am I correct? Is that a lesson learned, or is that something that you're
It
not
is.
trying
It
to
is.
say
It is
we're
still
just
a very,
disposable? We're two
yes.
levels deep. That's the market you're going for.
That is correct. And it's again because, of course, I didn't want to deal with Chinaware, or
Yeah.
I didn't want to, as a consumer, deal with renting Chinaware,
Yeah.
especially when I'm putting up a big graduation party for my kid. I want to be there for my kid. I want to be in those moments, then figuring it out. Oh, where are the plates? Or please handle this properly because we have to rent these and we have to return this back. So I don't want to deal with any of that. So that was the whole purpose because like I said, I wanted convenience.
Mm,
We all lead a busy life, and it's okay to not feel guilty of using and throwing, and at the same time not being guilty of landfill because our products compost in 90 days. Their
mm.
leaves and they go back to nature in
Wow.
90 days. Imagine something disappearing from your backyard, right?
Mhm.
And those were the stories that actually we were able to communicate to our customers through real stories. For example, our customers sent us pictures of rabbits playing in the backyard. Hey, the plates are now being enjoyed by the rabbits after our bear barbecue party.
Whoa, 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 hold on. I missed something. So you don't. So you don't take these and throw these in a real trash can. Obviously. Two, you don't take these and throw them even in quote unquote the recycled thing in the middle of New Jersey, New York City. I could be wrong. So if you'll correct me. Three, what I'm hearing you say in some way, which you may unpack for me, you can take these and put these in your garden. Unpack that. I missed that whole concept. Now my mind's blown. It's
So
my
let's straighten this out for you. So how you have the recycle bin, you have the
yeah
trash bin, and then you
yeah
have a composting bin, and then you have your
some
vacuum,
yes
right? So the liberty here is because these are leaves, when you put them in whichever pile, whichever bin, the concept is they don't add any extra carbon footprint. They have their own natural carbon footprint as a leaf. So if you're putting in trash, it's going to go break down with other things in the landfill,
wow
maybe a little slower than
I
90 days.
understand.
still go back to nature. If you're putting in the composting bin, or if you have the what is it called, the leaf that
I
they come
understand.
early and they pick up your leaf and
Mhm.
your
Mhm.
what is
The
the
side
term?
of the road, the leaf, the thing you get from Home Depot, the bags
Yeah,
and all that kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you,
Mhm.
you can put it in that. So again, it depends county to county because every state,
Yes.
the county rules are different for what you can go in your bins.
Got
So
it.
that being said, you can proactively ask what bin you can put this in. And again, the basic concept is even if it doesn't fit in any bin, it's easy to go in the trash and it does not cause any extra carbon footprint. But for me, what we do in the backyard is because I'm into gardening. We have a 20-foot garden and we just take the plates and we put it and dump it in there and in 90 days it's gone back. Or my kids, they actually would use the bowls and they would use those as seed planters. So we start our
Oh,
seeds in there and then we put the whole bowl in the ground and then it disappears.
I
And
love it.
in that meantime, I've gotten stories from my customers who've had cats, who've had dogs, or who have had rabbits in the backyard that their pets loved chewing on the leftover plates and bowls.
I love that. What a story. That is so beautiful. And you mentioned, I want to talk about not numbers directly, but I'd love to talk about the meat and meat and potatoes of detox, whatever you can share, just growth and scaling and lessons learned at a very high level, general level. But you mentioned children. I have two adult children. My son has been married for 5 years, and my daughter got married recently. She moved to California recently, and she's going to give birth soon. So that's a little bit about me. I assume family is important to you. What is that like running a business, growing a family? And it's not unique. I've done the same thing for years, but I'm curious from your perspective, how do you balance being a mom and being an entrepreneur, being a mom playing or school and all the things that any
Yeah,
parent would do versus got to go to this funding meeting or got to go to the sales meeting or Walmart
yeah,
card called and said, meet me at 2 a.m. or whatever, the things that happen, the conflicts. Can you talk a
yes.
bit about your life and give us maybe a story or guidance of how you do it?
So definitely it's a constant reminder, like
Yeah.
almost every day when I say, if I can handle toddler tantrums, if I can handle now that my kids are older,
Yes.
or if I can handle in-laws at home. So we have a joint family, the typical Indian
Hmm.
families where everybody lives together.
That's
Of course,
beautiful.
we've got our separation of space. We've got our
Hmm.
boundaries that we've created in the last 20 years, but still being in a small, compact household environment where we love each other, we do things for each other, and we prioritize others as well. That being said, when I have these constant reminders that when I can juggle this all, and now I can juggle two of my businesses,
Hmm.
I all I have to do is create that synchrony. I really don't believe in the word balancing
Hmm.
because that's a constant juggle. I do not want to do it. I do not even want to pursue it. But blending is what I love to do and what I'm
Hmm.
great at. And what I've realized that as a mom, I love to blend my work with my leisure. So if I'm making a trip for a conference,
Hmm.
I'll tell my family to join me maybe
I
for
do
the
that.
first half,
Yes.
later half. So I'm blending here. Or whenever I am at an event, at a travel trip, for example, with my family, I'll take my kids and I'll
Nice.
go meet a local distributor and I'll be like, look at this. These girls believe in it and they can show you exactly how to make this product work. So you're an adult, you'll be able to figure it out. So whatever it takes in order to align ourselves, which means just not me, but my whole family. Because believe it or not, my kids are the brand ambassadors, they are the brand voices. And if they are somebody who can believe in this product, we can show the world how do we use it. That is enough inspiration and motivation to tell people that our everyday choices matter. Because when we care about what's on our plate and when we go to Whole Foods, we spend that extra dollar on buying that organic grocery or going to our local market, a
Hmm.
Saturday farmers market, and buy that raw material directly and care about where is my bread coming from? Where are my tomatoes coming from? Then why not where are my plates and my bowls and my spoons coming from? Or where are they being disposed? Where are they going? So those are the little questions that we need to ask and we need to role model it. That's the only best way to teach that to the future generations and our kids, and we got to do it. We got to show up
Yes.
and we got to show it in a way where we can blend. We really don't need to be balancing.
I love that. And so, is it fair to say, well, a few things. One, I'm blanking out her name. Carol's Lisa Price is the famed, at least she's one an entrepreneur. Carol's daughter, sold
Uh-huh.
her hair care brand to L'Oreal, I believe. The details I could be confusing, but she said, again, she may be exaggerating a bit, so give me some grace. It's out of context of her whole speech. But she said, some days I was a bad mom, but a great business owner. Some days I was a bad business owner, but a great mom. The context, saying in a fun way. Is that something that echoes, and I'll say it a step further, and then feel free to correct what I'm saying, my words, not yours, but that you have no problem maybe telling a child, a daughter, can't go to the baseball game with you. I will not be there for this. I have to fly here. And or telling a client, telling Ramon, gotta reschedule the rundown with Ramon because I gotta go hang out with my boo. I gotta go to my auntie's house. Is that
Yeah.
a fair thing that I'm trying to say this synchrony, or is that am I
Oh,
hearing you
no.
correctly?
Very aptly said, because at the end of the day, either whether you're a mom or a mompreneur,
Hmm.
you have to maintain your stability. You
Yeah.
you have to maintain that ground. So towards boundaries and setting up those expectations or that mindset is where I have been able to really be honest. Like,
Yeah.
if I cannot go to your game because this meeting is important because it leads to this, give people around you that what is the reasoning behind it, then maybe they won't understand the first time, but when you constantly do this a 10th time, they'll get it.
Yes.
And now they will not even expect you to be there. But if you show up, that's great. That, oh, mom was there. But again, it's that mind setting that give them the worst case scenario that I might not be there. But if you show up, great, because I don't want to raise their expectation. But I
Yes.
also want to tell them I cannot be at this because that transparency needs to be there.
Yes.
And also find ways on how to offset this. If I cannot do this, I promise you will do this. And then you commit to that promise or don't promise at all.
Yeah, yeah, and I find that also that it just most of the time, at least in my journey, I don't know about yours, but I've been to most of the things. I've been to most birthday parties, been to most games, and there and or schedules happen. So especially as they grow, the expectation is set. Meaning your journey could be different than mine, mine's different than yours. But in my family, it's very similar to yours. I no shame to say I'm going to miss this, miss that, or hey, can we celebrate your birthday on Tuesday instead of Monday? And with communication over time, over the again, my children are older, adult children. I'm 52, but people have understood, and me and
Yeah.
my
And
wife
I
now
think
are in a different
practice.
season.
It is a practice. It's
Yeah,
like a ritual. You have to
yeah,
do practice it a number of times because
yeah.
then people around you gets into that habit or that mindset.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Going back to the business itself, the operation, what can you share with us about that? And I'll give a few examples. Meaning, how many employees do you have, or how many locations do you have? Things of that. Can you tell us where it is now? And don't worry, my style, Pallavi, of asking questions. I ask 1,000 questions in one breath, but you're doing just fine. Um, and
We'll take it slowly, step
thank
by
you.
step, and we'll keep on adding to it as we
Yes,
take.
yes. And where I want to lead to then is that where is it at today? And then how did you get there is what I'm trying to unpack right now. So can you just talk about any of the speeds and feeds you wish to share so we get an idea of the size or the context of what the business looks like today? And then maybe let's back up a bit and give some milestones how you got here.
Yes, so let's start with, so by profession, I'm an electrical engineer. So I went to the Ohio State University for my master's in engineering.
The state of my birth.
Ooh, OH.
Yes, indeed.
That being said, we moved to Oregon 10 years ago. So now, once a Buckeye, always a Buckeye. I get it.
Yes.
Yes. And we live here in the Duck State now. But why I'm going back there is I never did any jobs in the engineering
Hmm.
field. I was always curious on learning e-commerce and CPG products. So that was
Hmm.
my interest. And that's why I had those 10 years of experience in logistics,
Mm.
warehousing, inventorying for people with products,
The
like literally.
perfect preparation for this. The perfect preparation. Yeah.
So that's where I got all my field experience or that knowledge of what does wholesale look like, what does manufacturing
Mhm.
look like, what does supply chain look like, how to move from between countries, the stuff, the most efficient way, what does it look like, and how to store stuff, how to do inventory, what does returns look like. So those were all the aspects I got to learn about. And believe it or not, before Dtocs, I actually had two other e-commerce brands.
Okay.
And I learned something from them. I hadn't invested much, but still my time.
Hmm.
And I got to learn a lot about e-commerce. Of course, I never wanted to have a brick and mortar because a lot of operations go behind that, right? Hiring people, employees, and I didn't want to deal with that. And especially knowing how fast or how much of time we all spend on our gadgets.
Hmm.
And that's the fastest way to reach people. It could not be a phone call, but it could be what they're
That's right.
browsing. And that's where I wanted to be really smart about e-commerce and establishing, starting from
Hmm.
e-commerce and then pivoting into other channels like retail, like being in stores,
Hmm.
or contracting at a county level, government level. Why? Because firefighters, they need a plate to eat on,
Hmm.
or your local library could have their annual fundraiser event. So these all would fall under contracting. Or the other one would be wholesaling, which is to the food service, to
Hmm.
caterers, to restaurants. So again, these were all the buckets I knew existed, but where do I focus with the knowledge that I have,
Hmm.
with the means that I have? I didn't have $10,000 to start with a flashy website. So I went with a basic one. I hired some people, got to the starting point. And I think that's one tip that as
I love
founders,
it.
we want to start with everything
Mm-hmm.
perfectionist. Like perfect website, perfect this,
Mm-hmm.
perfect could look like different. And again, our goals with perfect things could be different. Like I would want to get an investor 6 months into my business having a perfect website. If that's your goal, go ahead and splurge, go ahead and invest, but of course measure it. Did that metrics fulfill?
Mm-hmm.
Were you able to get the investor? And if not, go back. Let's start with a basic Shopify website. Hire somebody
Mm-hmm.
from Upwork, pay them $1,000, start foundation, get your messaging out because you're losing time and you're losing, and if you don't have the money, then time is your friend. So
Mm-hmm.
how do you balance everything, right? How do you sync everything? How do you bring all these resources in alignment? So that's what I did. I went with the basic. I got my foundation strong. And again, I didn't have the information. So this is what I did 2020. I was making $0 in revenue. So I started in 2019.
Okay.
We sold out in 2 months. We got our first Nexty Award. That stands for the most sustainable product of the year, which is given by America's biggest natural products conference, the Expo
Nice.
West, that happens in California every year. 2019, 1 year, 1 month into business, I got that award. So
Wow.
that shows.
And how did you get that? I assume this is an because they knew you were new, so this is an application process. I'm assuming the basics of applying right with
Yeah.
others, and you applied the right way and told your story and won. Is that the
Yeah, and,
essence?
and that was one of the trade shows that was in my bucket list. That
Wow.
whenever I have a product, I'm going to go attend and do this. Why? Because it's the most expensive trade show in America. It
Right.
costs $15,000 to get one booth.
Yeah.
Okay, I made a budget, I made a strategy, I got it. We applied to Nexty, and after the trade show, during the trade show, the last day, they come and give that award.
So you exhibited, you invested to exhibit, and you applied to win.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, go ahead. Mhm.
Did both. And it was worth our investment because
Yeah.
we won that award in that trade show. So I took that on my labels, on my packaging, that we are the next award winners. So now that is a certification that speaks to one segment, which is
Hmm.
the retailers. Okay, now this product would do really good on retail shelves. Why? Because this has this prize. Again, from there, we then 2020 happened, right? We've got big plans, big dreams. Okay, we're going to get viral. We're going to do this and that. And then 2020 happened. We made zero sales, zero. All our inventory that we invested in because we sold out a small experiment in
Hmm.
2019. Now we scaled that into 3 times. And now I'm left with all of that sitting in country X because of COVID. Now I have zero revenue. All that is somewhere. I don't even have access to my old inventory. What does my strategy look like? Okay, I don't have any background in business. I come from an engineering background, which means I'm always solving, right? I can't just sit. I'm not wired to just sit. So I go and attend these accelerator programs that are being provided online.
Hmm.
And guess what I learn? I learn about these CDFIs, community
Hmm.
development financial institutions. I learn all these free resources that are being provided to entrepreneurs. I pick up my phone, I call my local SBDC, Small Business Development Center, and I'm like, hey, I need your help. So I had to gather a lot of courage to ask for help. I'm not a person who asks for help, but I had to.
Hmm.
So after them, they connect me to XYZ programs. I go in, I invest my time. What do I get from there? Mentors. And they're like, okay, look at your past history. When you sold out in 2019, where did you sell? Who was buying? Okay, now I have the time. I go through my data. Put them in thousands of Excel sheets and I go through a lot of data. And what do I get from there? I get my customer avatar. Why are they buying me? The values. And now I leverage all of that and I throw it onto my social media strategy. Why? Because
Hmm.
at that time we had zero social media, zero Instagram, zero Facebook, only a website. So that gives me ample of time to have that runway to start the social media strategies. And guess what? I'm everywhere
Yes.
overnight, and I'm learning. And how I'm learning? By not being perfect, by just showing up and by doing random things and then measuring everything quarterly and learning from there. So it was a learning experience.
Wow. And can you talk about the power of, I'm guessing that since you are a very good communicator, I think you are very clear, articulate. Maybe some of your background, not just because you're an engineer. So I don't want people to think you have to be an engineer, but I think that what I'm trying to get at is I think God gives everybody a certain set of skills that give them a secret advantage. Myself, for example, I again, just to share entrepreneur to entrepreneur, I think because I'm engaging, I'm a certain way I am. I'm a speaker. I'm asked to be on stages over and over again. It's my gift. I'm not asked to run a hedge fund. I don't know math, but I can
Right.
definitely interview the hedge fund manager. So, like yourself, do you think you have a certain set of skills that made you able to win. If you get the communication is one that I'm just sensing that you're able to be very clear and driven. Does that make any sense? What I'm trying to ask or trying to say?
Yes. It is during that process I learned I have no idea about financials, investors, and I hate doing any of those.
Hmm.
So don't try to do everything as a founder. And like you said, it sounded like you had these right partners to
Hmm.
get to refer
Hmm.
to get into business, whichever aspect was required. So that's when I learned during this whole process of building the social media that I am a great storyteller, I'm a great marketer. And when I
You
put
are.
my heart and my heart and soul into it, I can communicate my passion.
Yeah.
It shines through my messaging. It shines through my face. So you know what? I'm going to leverage myself as a
Yeah.
brand influencer, my voice. I don't need to hire people. So those were my sweet spots that I was
Yes.
able to
Yes.
leverage. And then for the things I couldn't, I got help. I got help as in I got two team members who took care of customer service, emailing. I got somebody who looked after operations, supply chain, because they were closer to my suppliers in India. And
Hmm.
I could no way go and run and do all of that by myself. I was managing in-laws
Hmm.
and family and kids and all of that. And then the most thing that did happen was the mentors. Like we underestimate what a mentor can do, but
Hmm.
even having the right mentors for XYZ, I had to lay down. I
Hmm.
need a mentor who's really good with my data, like
Hmm.
breaking down my Amazon data. Because in 2020, what I did was I was like, forget everything else. I'm going to build this thing on Amazon. I'm going to just leverage Amazon. And that's what I focused on for 5 years. And that's how I literally scaled my business through Amazon, reaching seven-figure brands, $1 million brand, American Amazon, like Amazon USA,
Hmm.
Amazon Canada. And then I made future plans of Amazon Dubai, Amazon Europe, and how to literally scale on this. So again, having mentors for different things. And then I leveraged a mentor who had experience in Fortune 100 companies,
Hmm.
their operations and strategies. And I was like, you know what? You help these companies save billions of dollars and you help them make their short term 3 months versus 3 years strategies. Can you help me with my strategy? And I was clear.
Hmm.
We want to focus on Amazon. So I went with that clarity. And again, it was because from my 2019 data, it showed me that I had 80% of my sales on Amazon. So now my data is telling me something. Though my heart told me I want to become a viral brand on Instagram or on whatever social media there was, or I wanted to sell out on my website, but that was not happening because it didn't happen. So how would that happen? What was my strategy to make that happen?
Hmm.
So again, that was on the back burner, the website strategy, but the focus was Amazon. So I focused on that. And that's where I leveraged all of that operational strategy, the resource strategy, ad strategy, whatever I could spend on Amazon. And that's how I grew.
I love that. And can you talk about how the size of the business today, and from when you started? Do you have a team of five? Is it 10? Is it 20? And can you give ranges of revenue? Prefer not, it's fine. But can you
Yeah.
talk about any to give us the scope of where you are today?
Sure. So it did take us 3 years to build to a profitable, positive cash flow company, of course.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So that was a stress test, right? They say first year, third year, fifth year. So now we're into sixth year. And we're still a pretty fairly small company. And I think we can get away with that because we are primarily e-commerce brand, which means still
Mhm.
today, 90% of our sales do come from various e-commerce channels,
Mhm.
whether it's Amazon, Walmart, Wayfair, Etsy, Faire, or whatever you can think of. And then there's a good um, amount that comes from wholesale clients like wholesale restaurants, wholesale charcuterie makers, vineyards, event planners. And then there's literally 1% that comes from retail because our products, what I did realize could be cumbersome. Like our
Yeah.
charcuterie board is 22-inch, like this tall. Nobody will give me that much space,
Ah,
right? So I got to be smart about it. I can easily get it shipped to somebody's door. So e-commerce.
got it.
And then came contracting way later after 5 years. So your question is, we're still a small team of three
Yeah.
people. Three
Okay,
people
great.
the job.
And you can use agencies, I guess, just so sorry to interject, but so I know how that works. You can hit a button and say, we need 5,000 plates in location X. And there's, I don't know, logistics, there's systems set up that a contractor in X country here can ship it to here. You can see it's done on your phone and you continue on and play with your kids. Something
So
like
we
that. Is that
we diversified it. So
okay?
what we've done is we have our third-party logistics centers that
Ah,
have
that's right.
our
Okay.
inventory,
3PL. Okay.
3PLs. We
Got it.
also have our own warehouse here in Portland, where
Yeah.
sometimes I'll step in. I'll be like, "Hey, this vineyard in Oregon has 5,000 people, and they need something tomorrow." Sure,
Got it.
we'll do a local delivery. So we got them covered. So it's a very boutique approach, right?
Mhm.
What whoever wants what. Then there is we've leveraged Amazon's fulfillment centers that are also called FBA. And the only thing is we store with them, the cost becomes one third. So there are the pros and cons.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we might at one point of time think they're expensive because
Right.
they take X amount. But when you do your yearly balance sheet or when you do your profit and loss, that's when
Hmm.
you'll see what in a year costs you when you do FBA storage and shipping versus when you do your own 3PL shipping. And that's when it becomes apples to apples.
Yeah, yeah.
So that is important. And then we also leverage Amazon's warehouse distribution centers, which is AWD. So we do it all. We've put our eggs in all these baskets because we've got clients in, let's say, New York, and shipping a product from the West Coast, where I am located, it costs $50 more than having my FBA center, which
Hmm.
could be perhaps in the same city,
Hmm.
have shipped them or closer to them. So those are case by case, and that's why monitoring these data points, especially on Amazon strategy, is very important. And as founders, we don't have the time, or we say, hey, we'll come back to this after 1 month or 6 months. And you know what? That's 30 days data left out,
Yeah.
or you're behind. So it's very important to plug these numbers almost every week, every
Yeah.
month. And to do that, there is something called NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Program.
Hmm.
NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Program provides interns who can actually help you plug in all these data points to you. So leverage those free interns to do all this groundwork
Love
for you.
that. It's funny you said that. I don't know if it's the same person, but I was on a plane once talking to a gentleman, and he was heading or doing something with the NASDAQ Entrepreneur Program. It's just amazing. I make sure I go to my left and right and greet people every time where I'm at, and I met some interesting people. Sounds like what I'm hearing you say, Pallavi, and again, thank you for being with us today, is that on this part of what we just talked about is your goal is to continue working. Well, you always want to work smarter than harder, but as a startup, as a smaller company, you want to try to leverage economies of scale and outsource in a good way as much as you can. Keep a nimble team and say, great, this $1 billion company has a service. I can promote the brand, promote sales, and let them do heavy lifting in this season right now. Could change in 5 years or 10 years, but right now it's let me grow by leveraging big partners, $1 billion partners who do this at scale. Is that a fair point?
And again, I also wanted to share that when you're leading with a purpose, let the purpose drive you
Mm,
and leave the things that drain you, right? So, like you said, get those partners to do XYZ where you cannot fill up your own cup because I believe in filling up my own cup because that keeps me thriving. That
mm,
keeps me going. So if you put me in X scenario that I enjoy the most, I can never get tired.
yeah.
So definitely when you're doing this purpose-driven work, it should fill your cup, not drain it.
I love it. Anything I think I could talk to you all day, and I'll just schedule more time with you. Hopefully, if I come to the West Coast, I'll meet you in person. We'll share some biryani or something together. But anything I haven't asked you that you wanted to share, and I know there's a lot. As I'm thinking, you were kind enough to share some notes with me as I asked you to before this call, but I didn't even. I looked at them, but I think we've had a great conversation. Anything that you wanted to share, Ramon? It's important to me to share this, and or not. No problem if not. But anything you wanted to share that I didn't bring out.
I think I will just say, as founders, we overthink a lot about a lot of things, and the key is to start.
Mm,
Sooner we can start, the more chances we have to take up on those experiments, fast fail, and fix it or pivot or whatever we need to do. But it's that starting point that we dread. And as founders, that's my only thing. I wish I had started this sooner.
What a great way to end it. One more time, Pallavi, give us your full name, the name of your company, and what you do, who you are. One more time. I'd love to just capture that, talk to the audience and tell the people who you are, what you do, and what the
Of course,
product's
I'm
about.
Pallavi Pande. I lead Dtocs, which is an e-commerce brand where we offer sustainable, stylish, single-use tableware to consumers and businesses for their events because we all deserve the convenience, and I want to give people that convenience of cleanup and a classy look without the landfill guilt.
I love it. And my name is Ramon Ray. This has been The Rundown with Ramon. You can get to know me better at zoneofgenius.com and across channels. And don't forget to check out Dtocs, DTOCS.com as well.